Go live. All right. So thank you everyone for joining us here during National Blind Sports Week presented by Healthy Vision Association. I'm so excited to introduce you all to these three fantastic individuals who will be teaching us and talking to us about the sport of blind hockey. So today with us, we have U.S. Blind Hockey head coach Mike Savac, team captain Tim Kaine, and USA Hockey blind hockey representative Doris Donnelly with us. During their presentation, feel free to pose any questions that pop up in your head to them either in the Facebook comments if you're watching with us on Facebook Live or in the Zoom chat and Q&A section. With that, I will just hand it right on over to these three amazing people.
Thank you, Kat. That's the sound of our blind hockey puck. And that's the sound of our pass whistle. Stick around and we'll share a little bit with you about the blind hockey puck, the pass whistle, and the wonderful game of blind hockey. First, I'd like to offer a huge thanks to the United States Association of Blind Athletes for inviting us to participate in their event. A huge thank you. And I would also like to give a huge shout out to all of the people that are working behind the scenes to make this such a great event. We appreciate each of you. Well, like Kat said, I'm Doris Donnelly. I'm the blind hockey representative for USA Hockey. And I'm also privileged to be the general manager of the US Blind team. With me today is head coach Mike Savac and team captain Tim Kaine. Coach Savac is going to share a bit about coaching blind hockey, the key adaptations to the game, including a little bit of information about that puck that I just rattled for you. Tim is going to give a little bit of his personal history, a little bit of his background about playing hockey, and then his perspective about playing blind hockey. But for now, I get to share with you blind hockey in the US and where we are with it right now. So blind hockey is not new. It's been played in Canada since the early 70s, but it is new to the US. So we are thankful to our Canadian friends to helping us bring it to the US. Blind hockey was first played in the United States in October of 2014 with the first ever Blind Hockey Summit in Newburgh, New York. And while we were there, we hosted a tri-hockey clinic to introduce the sport to so many new players. And then we formed two teams made up of the participants and the Canadian players that were there. And we got to watch a game or two. The following year, in 2015, at USA Hockey's Disabled Festival, hockey was introduced to the rest of the hockey community. Again, US and Canada players came together and formed two teams, and then we played another exhibition game. But the big news was in 2018 when USA Hockey recognized blind hockey as one of their adapted hockey disciplines. From there, it has sprung up all over the US. Word has spread quickly, and we have new players and new programs all over the country. And we even have NHL teams that are partnering with their local blind hockey programs. So the original event I talked about, the Blind Hockey Classic, is now called the Blind Hockey Summit, the Blind Hockey Summit is now called the Blind Hockey Classic. And it's an annual USA Hockey sanctioned event, which brings players, coaches, and volunteers together from across the US. Our goal is to play and grow this great sport. So where are we now? We have 18 teams across the US, from California to New York. Players range in age from 5 to 60, both male and female. Some have played hockey before, Others know how to skate and are just now learning how to play hockey. And others are lacing up their skates for the very first time. Really, whatever your age, whatever your skill level, blind hockey is for everyone. And typically this time of the year, we are having multiple tri-hockey events across the US. But COVID has changed a lot of our plans. But if you ever get a chance, please check out one of our tri-hockey events in your area. It provides an opportunity to try on skates, get on the ice. I would go so far as to say you'll fall in love with the game of blind hockey. And on a real positive note, during COVID, we have a new team starting up in Buffalo, New York. So what am I trying to tell you before I hand you over to Coach Mike Savac? Blind hockey is a great opportunity for individuals with vision impairment to be part of the best sport in the world, blind hockey. Handing it over to you, Coach.
Hey, thanks, Doris. Hey, just in case you joined us late, I'm Mike Savac, the head coach for the U.S. blind hockey team, and also the hockey director and head coach for the Chicago Blackhawks blind hockey program. I've been involved with disabled hockey since 2007 and was introduced to blind hockey back in 2014. So for today's podcast, I'm going to go over 3 parts of our blind hockey program. How we coach blind hockey and talk a little bit about our different divisions. And then for the other 2 parts, there's always an interest about how we play the game as visually impaired athletes. So I will review the hockey puck and the differences between like an NHL game and a blind hockey game. But to start off, as Doris said, hockey is for everyone. And in blind hockey, you don't need any experience with ice skating or how to play the game, because we as coaches will teach you how to be the hockey player. Our program is very broad, and blind hockey is inclusive. As Doris said, we have both male and female players. The ages range from players from 5 years old to over 50. And we have players that have never ice skated before to players that have played highly competitive hockey before experiencing a visual impairment. So when you sign up to play blind hockey, you become a blind hockey player. And we as coaches look beyond any visual limitations you may have, because we're here to teach you. And you have the opportunity to be part of something great, and it's called ice hockey. Now, to be consistent, as I go through my presentation, we all know we're talking about visual impairments, but for our hockey program, we call it blind hockey. So I'm going to interchange the terminology, but for this discussion, it means the same. So it's classified by the International Blind Sports Federation. Our players are placed into one of 3 vision classifications for international competition, a B1, B2, and B3. Now we also include B4 classification for local programs. So to help us maximize the learning and skill development of our players based on their vision classifications, we put each player into one of 3 divisions: the red division, the white division, and the blue division. And these are just the colors of our USA flag. So the red division is our advanced players. Our white division is the intermediate, and the blue division is where players are introduced to ice skating and the game of hockey. So let's start off with the blue division. Our blue division is our Learn to Skate program, and most of the focus is on balancing on ice skates, being able to ice skate forward, being able to stop, and moving on the ice with little or no assistance from a coach. Now, this is where our first-time hockey players learn about ice skating and playing hockey, and they get to wear the hockey equipment for the first time. For me as a coach, this is where the fun starts. And once you've tried hockey, you never want to leave, and all you want to do is play the game. So also, for all of our blue division players, they're always paired up with a coach for their safety and for one-on-one instruction. Our goal is to move these players from the blue to white division as soon as possible. Now, the white division is the intermediate division, and it can include players from the age of 5 to over 50, and with any vision classification, B1 through B4. Now, these players may have played hockey before experiencing a visual impairment, but most players in the white division never played hockey, and they're learning the game and the skills of skating, passing, shooting the hockey puck for the first time. Now, most of these players, they don't understand the game of hockey, So we'll teach them about the rules, the strategy, and how the game is played. The white division players, they can all skate forward, they can balance, they can glide, they can usually perform basic skating skills like crossovers, stopping, and starting. But we teach them how to play the game, how to pass and receive a hockey puck while moving forward, how to shoot the puck. And we start to advance the skating skills like skating backwards, quicker stopping, maybe how to use their edges on their ice skates to accelerate faster. The immediate player, includes all vision levels. So the lower vision level white division players, they may have difficulty locating the puck when it stops moving, and they may not have awareness on the ice where they are during a game situation. And this may require some assistance from a coach. So to close out the white division, these players are still learning and developing hockey skills, but they're now playing real hockey games. And our goal as coaches is to get them to the next level, the red division. The red division is our most advanced hockey players. Now, these players may have played competitive hockey in the past before experiencing a visual impairment, and they usually know the game of hockey. They know the rules, they know how it's played. They can skate forward, they can skate backwards, they transition smoothly, and they can demonstrate consistent passing to others and have the ability to receive the puck on their stick while they're skating. They shoot the puck with consistency. They can elevate the puck during a shot. Probably a big difference between a white and a red division player is that a red division player appears to always have total awareness where they are on the ice at all times through the vision they have or by using audible cues. These players are playing games at the competitive level like our U.S. blind hockey team. Now, our U.S. team was initially selected in 2018, and it was comprised of 13 skaters and 2 goalies from all over the country. These are the best hockey players in our country today, and they represent the United States. New players are selected each year for the U.S. blind team, and those players are invited to our summer training camp in Utica, New York. We train throughout the year, and we've been very fortunate to be competing against Canada for the past 2 years. Now, our goal is to be ready to compete in the 2026 Paralympics if blind hockey is added to the event. Just to clarify, as of today, blind hockey is not a Paralympic sport for international competition. But as of today, there are 6 countries that currently have a blind hockey program: USA, Russia, Sweden, Finland, UK, and Canada. So we're going in the right direction. Everyone with a visual impairment has the opportunity to play on the U.S. blind hockey team, male or female, 16 years of age or older, because hockey is for everyone. So let's go ahead and transition over to the hockey puck. The adaptive puck used in blind hockey makes a noise. You heard it from Doris in her introduction. And this puck is bigger and it's slower than a traditional puck. The large size and the slower speed helps our visually impaired players see the puck, while the noise allows the low vision and no vision players to track it. The blind hockey puck is made of hollow steel, and it contains 8-ball bearings that are smaller than a marble. These are made by welding together 2 circular discs in a steel band. This puck, the blind hockey puck, weighs a half a pound compared to an NHL puck that's only 6 inches. The blind hockey puck is 5.5 inches in diameter. It's almost 2 inches thick, but the blind is compared to the NHL puck, which is only 3 inches in diameter and 1 inch high. So, and like the NHL puck, the blind puck is painted black to maximize the contrast against the white ice surface. But the key difference is that the blind puck is much bigger, it's heavier, and it will make a noise when it's moving. Some of the challenges we have with the current puck is its design. This costs a lot of money to make because it's hand welded and you have to make one at a time. And also because the metal is thin, it's 22 gauge steel, when it hits solid surfaces like a hockey net post or maybe even the player's metal skates, it starts to become deformed over time. I'm not sure through the video if you can see the details and differences, but this puck went through a couple games and a couple practices, and once it loses its deformity, it starts to have more challenges on how it's passed and how it's shot. Also, when a puck like this breaks its welds, water will have a tendency to get inside, and that will cause the ball bearings to freeze together, which in some cases will stop making the noise. And because the puck is so big and bulky compared to an NHL puck, this doesn't feel like a traditional hockey puck when you're playing the game, when you pass it and when you shoot it. And these variables change, and sometimes the puck becomes less predictable. But once again, probably the biggest key point about this puck is about our low vision players. Once this puck stops moving, the sound stops. So we've been working with a number of universities around the country, trying to come up with a new puck design that was about the same size and shape. We want to be able to create a puck that will be able to make a consistent sound, especially when it stops moving. We're not there yet, but we're still working on it. The last part I want to do is close out about the differences in playing a blind hockey game. You know, as visually impaired athletes, we all love to compete. And where there's hockey, there's always a game to be played at all levels, the red division, the white division, and the blue division. When we play games throughout the country, we have two big events every year. The Disabled Hockey Festival is held every April, and this year it's going to be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And as Doris said, every year we have the Blind Hockey Classic, and it's held in October. The next one's scheduled in October of 2021 in St. Louis. So how are these games played? A blind hockey game is almost identical to an NHL game. The big difference is all around player safety. And I'm not going to cover them all, but for the most part, I'm going to hit about 6 or 7 key points just to kind of give you an idea of how we're able to play the game that's so fast and so exciting. As I already discussed, probably the biggest difference is the puck is bigger and it's heavier in weight, which slows down the game for the visually impaired hockey players. The second one, really around safety for our goalie. Our goalies are B1, which means they're completely blind. And there are additional safety precautions to protect the goalie. And here's 3 examples. When the puck enters the offensive zone, we have to make one pass before a shot is allowed. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next bullet. But also, if the puck hits the goalie in the face mask during a hard shot, play is stopped immediately to make sure that the goalie is okay. And another example is when the puck stops moving in the crease in front of the hockey net, we also stop play immediately. Now, the crease is the space, and it's usually painted blue. It's on the ice. It's in front of the goalie, and it's there for their safety. When this puck is in that part of the zone and stops moving, our goalies cannot locate it. When the offensive players enter the attack zone to score a goal, as I said, they have to make one clean pass to their teammate before a shot can be taken on the hockey net. And I gotta find out where I had it here. The referee will sound an electronic whistle alerting everyone, especially the goalie, who has no vision, that a shot is now allowed. And Doris used this in her introduction. The sound of that whistle is what indicates that now players can shoot on the goalie, and it allows the goalie to be aware that a shot may be coming. You know, a 4th point in difference is the size of the hockey net. You know, it's the same width as an NHL regulation net, but the blind net is 1 foot shorter. It's only 3 feet high versus 4. But probably one of the biggest differences is because we have such a mix of vision impairments, it's about the players on the ice at any one time. Players on the ice are balanced based on vision level, how much vision they have. So you can have a mix of B1, B2, and B3 players on the ice all at the same time. Excluding the goalie, who is always a B1, the maximum vision level allowed on the ice at one time is a total of 13. And it can be a combination of a B1, B2, and B3 players. So for example, a B1 is considered 1 point, a B2, 2, and a B3 player is 3 points. As a coach, you know, if I have one line of 5 players going out and I put 3 B3 players, that's 9 points, and 2 B2 players, that's 4 points, that equals 13. My second line can be totally different. I can have 4 B3 players and 1 B1 player, which is also 13. However, if a line of 5 players on the ice ever exceeds 13 at any one time, then there's a 2-minute penalty, which means that the other team will have a competitive advantage while one player sits out for the 2 minutes, creating a 5-on-4 situation. So you ask, well, how do we keep track of what the vision levels are? We do it by their helmets to identify vision levels. A B3 will wear a black helmet, B2 wears white, and a B1 wears a red helmet. And the last big difference I want to emphasize, and I'm sure Tim will talk about this in his presentation, is about verbal communication and the audible cues that are essential. And we have to be a team that is communicating nonstop while the game is being played. Talking on the ice is critical for success. To align on positioning, who has puck possession, where the play is advancing, when to change lines. It's all about listening. It's all about verbal communication. So, to conclude my discussion today, I hope you learned something new and you'll take this information and share it with others that may experience a visual impairment. If you have a visual impairment, this is your opportunity to come out and try hockey, to join our USA team of blind and visually impaired athletes and be a hockey player. And you never know, you may have what it takes to represent our country if we're able to play blind hockey in the 2026 Paralympics. Okay, thanks for joining us today. I'm now going to turn it over to Tim Kaine, the captain of the U.S. blind hockey team.
Thanks, Coach. First, I just want to echo what Doris said, and just a huge thanks to USABA for hosting us and allowing us to continue to share this sport with everybody. Thank you to USA Hockey again for all your support over the last couple of years and adding blind hockey to the official list of sanctioned disciplines of disabled hockey is a huge boost in helping us continue to grow the game. Doris, thank you for everything you do for our team and for the sport of blind hockey across the country. And of course, Coach, thank you for everything you do for our team and continuing to support us, especially during this time when it's even harder for us all to get together. So just a brief background on myself. My name is Tim Kaine, captain of the U.S. U.S. blind hockey team. I'm 33 and I'm from Michigan. I started playing hockey when I was 5 years old. I vividly remember getting a pamphlet in kindergarten with a picture of a little hockey player on the front that said "Learn to play hockey," and I took it home and I showed it to my parents and I said, I want to do that. I don't know if they even knew if I had ever seen a hockey game, but it seemed exciting and I wanted to do it. And as soon as I got on the ice, I was hooked. And I don't think it's very different for any of the people that come out and try blind hockey at any of our try blind hockey events. To see people's faces light up, it takes me back to the first time I got on the ice. After starting when I was 5, just continued to play hockey locally for a few years, and then moved on to travel hockey and played at a AA level until I was 18 and graduated high school. Went on to play a year of club hockey in college at Ferris State University before I transferred schools for a different major. And from there, I kind of thought I was done. As far as a competitive hockey career, I thought that was pretty much it. And I was happy with that. Or I ended up being happy with that. When I was younger, growing up, I think along with any other kid that plays hockey, as a kid, you have that high level dream of, okay, I can do it. I can be part of that 0.1%. I can make it to the NHL. I can play a sport for a living. And I thought that was a pretty cool idea. But beyond that, the other dream that goes along with that is I wanted the chance to represent my country. Being able to play on Team USA in the Olympics, that only happens every 4 years. If you look at the number of people that have been able to play hockey in the Olympics, that number is so small. But I wanted to be able to do it. And that kind of went away when I started to lose my vision when I was 15. At that time, I was pretty level-headed and kind of realized I probably wasn't going to make it to the NHL. But definitely without the vision loss and suffering from Stargardt's macular degeneration, I went through a rapid vision loss starting in fall of 2015. And by the new year, going into 2016, my vision had progressed from being 20/20 when I started school that year to 2200 with contacts. So pretty rapid descent into legal blindness, and certainly not the greatest time to be going through that as a 15-year-old and a freshman in high school, but we got through it, and I was able to continue to play sports and not really let my vision loss affect too much. I continued to play 3 varsity sports throughout high school. Was able to play hockey after that, and like I said, I became pretty happy with that career. Fast forwarding a little bit, like I said, I hung up the skates when I was 19 and thought I was pretty much done until I got a message from my mom in 2018 during the Olympics, actually, and asking if I had ever followed up on on an article that she sent me about blind hockey, and me being me, just did a quick little Google search on blind hockey and found a few names, so I didn't disappoint my mom, and sent a few emails out, and was fortunate enough to get a response from the USA Hockey rep at the time that told me about an opportunity to come out and play blind hockey in an event in Chicago. It was the USA Disabled Hockey Festival that was going to be held in the spring of that year. And based on my background, if I wanted to try out, I'd be welcome to do that as long as I could get my registration in by the next day. So it being right around Valentine's Day, I thought that was an interesting present for my wife, but came home and asked her if we could conceivably go to Chicago for a weekend with a 6-month-old and financially make it work to try to make this opportunity happen. And she looked at me like I had 3 heads, as if I would ever give up the possibility of being able to play for the U.S. national, sorry, again, the U.S. blind hockey team. And so we made it work, and I was able to go, and fortunately everything went really well. It was an absolutely unbelievable event to be surrounded by that many different disciplines of disabled hockey, and to really see how hockey really is for everybody. You hear the slogan and you see glimpses of it, but to see it in person and to be completely surrounded by it was something else. And like I said, everything went really well, and I was fortunate enough to be selected to the inaugural U.S. blind hockey team, which I would probably say, hearing my name called as part of that initial roster selection would be a pretty close third as far as top moments of my life, behind the birth of my son and marrying my wife. So if that gives any indication of how much playing for this team and representing the United States goes, I think it paints a pretty good picture. As far as blind hockey goes, going into that event in Chicago, I didn't really know what to expect. I'd never played a game of blind hockey in my life. I had never even seen a blind hockey puck in person until that first time I got on the ice. And so I didn't really know what to expect, and I was blown away by the competition level. The speed of the game, which I expected to be a little bit slower, it certainly is compared to sighted hockey, but that doesn't make it less competitive. It certainly doesn't make it less exciting. The game's a little bit slower, but that's because it has to be. You can't have an NHL speed game for people that can't pick up the puck. Even when I try to play sighted hockey, I lose the puck every time I'm on the ice. When I play blind hockey, I still lose it every time it goes into my feet. But it puts everybody on a more level playing field. And one of the things that helps be on that level playing field, as Coach mentioned, is the communication. Communication is huge in any sport, but even more so in an adaptive sport for people with visual impairments. As Coach mentioned, you can have anywhere from a B1 to a B2 or a B3 on the ice at the same time, which I believe blind hockey is the only sport that allows that. Other blind sports, you can have different vision levels, but maybe everybody's blindfolded, or, maybe everybody's broken up into a B3 division, B2 division, B1. Blind hockey, brings out everybody that has a visual impairment in all those levels and puts them on the ice at the same time. So my communication has to go up as a B3. I have to be able to tell the B2s, who's on the ice against us, who's on the ice with us. I have to be able to tell the B1s where the puck is if the puck stops moving. So it's a little bit more responsibility for a B3, but it also strengthens communication skills on and off the ice. It makes everybody that much stronger, makes everybody that much better when you have that communication and you have that shared language, which was actually a hurdle for our team. How do you designate who has the puck? How do you designate when we need to have a defensive mindset as opposed to offensive? But it's a growing process, and we're continuing to evolve with it and continuing to make it better. Along with the communication and the team building, for me, from a player's perspective, I would say that one of the biggest benefits I've gotten out of the last 2.5 years of being a part of this program are the friendships and really the blind hockey family that's really come about. you know, I can't say thank you enough to those three hockey players in the Northeast that really brought the game down here and helped spread it across the country as quick and as broad as they have. Thank you for everything you guys have done for the sport. But me being, you know, one of three, you know, both my sisters have Stargardts as well. Those were the only two visually impaired people I knew growing up, and didn't really think about myself as being visually impaired. You know, I used some adaptations, but you know, there's not a ton that it stopped me from doing. But being able to be a part of this team and a part of this community, learning everybody's stories. You know, you look at our team alone, we have people with Stargardts, we have people with Best syndrome, we have people with RP. One of our goalies hasn't had light perception for over 20 years. We have people that have been misdiagnosed, thought they had one thing, and then 15 years later, they went through another rapid progression to their disease. You know, our stories range from very simple to very complex, and you know, it goes right along with the age range of our players as well. We have a 16-year-old, and we have a player in our 50s. It's incredible the spectrum that we have in this program of visual impairments, and just continues to grow and continues to blow me away at how much my teammates are able to do on a daily basis. And really just that keeps me going. It keeps me driven. It keeps me wanting to continue to be better, not only to be better on the ice, but to be better for my teammates. So thank you to all you guys. If you're out there listening, let's keep up the good work. And I think that's pretty much all I have to say from a player's perspective. You know, blind hockey is an amazing game. And I hope anybody out there that has a chance to get involved with a blind hockey program, even if it's just for a couple tri-blind hockey events, do it. It's amazing. You'll never forget it.
Thank you guys so much for sharing your love, passion, and knowledge on the sport. I know I learned so much, and I can only imagine what everyone else has learned as well. So thank you. I want to start off with a question for you, Doris, and I'm kind of combining two questions here, but could you tell me what blind hockey currently looks like across the US and how someone can get involved?
Okay. Well, right now we have 18 teams across the US, and our goal is to grow the sport even bigger. I would love to see it in all 50 states, but right now we have 18 teams. And if anyone wants to get involved, they can either check us out at usahockey.com/blindhockey, or they can always email me at usablindhockey@gmail.com. And they can always follow us on social media too. It's the US Blind Team, or they can subscribe to our newsletter, which is usablindhockeynews@gmail.com, and we'll get them subscribed.
Perfect. Coach Mike, I want to put this next question to you of, when looking at your national team, what would you say are some characteristics that your high-performing blind hockey players possess?
Okay. It's more than just the ability to play the game. Skating fast, stick handling, those are, I think are given criteria when you're selecting elite players. But, it takes a special person who is willing to sacrifice and push themselves to be their best, especially when they're alone. When I think as a head coach for characteristics, these athletes have to have passion. Passion is like a combination of commitment and positive emotion. For me, it's more important than any other skill you learn in hockey, because a player will fall in love with the process of improving if they want to grow and keep developing as a visually impaired elite hockey player. Another characteristic is to have confidence. With confidence, a visually impaired hockey player, they'll just do things that they never knew they could do because there's like nothing holding them back. And probably two other characteristics would be consistency and persistence. A difference between like an average player and the elite player is that the top athletes are more consistent in what they do. They can be, it's what they do on the ice, their motivation, the preparation they do before a practice or a game, their fitness routine, even nutrition. And with persistence, 90% of what happens is actually based on how the player will respond to situations. Persistence is never giving up when something is so important to an elite player. They're willing to work harder than anyone else. And I think like right now, a great test is during COVID. Who has what it takes to get better, to be better? And with persistence, will they be persistent enough in what they do and how they do it, to play the U.S. blind hockey team? We're only going to select the best athletes with the characteristics that go beyond their hockey skills. And this is a great opportunity for elite athletes, to prove who they really are. And I've got many stories I can share, and there's one that just kind of comes out constantly as I've gone through the last 3 years on the U.S. team. One of our players, and I'm going to single him out, his name is Kevin Brown. Kevin is a B1. He's completely blind athlete. And as I said earlier in my presentation, B1s usually play goalie. But Kevin plays defense for the U.S. blind hockey team. He's over the age of 50. He cannot process any information from his eyes. His only ability is to process sound, from the puck, the crowd, his teammates, the coaches, maybe a referee, even where the goalie is positioned. I've never met someone who can process so much information so fastly without having vision. He knows where he is on the ice at all times. And an ice surface is 85 feet wide and 200 feet long. He knows when his team has possession of the puck. He just knows. He knows what to do with it, when to do with it. His passion is to be the best, and his desire is to be better tomorrow than he is today. And that just brings it all together when we talk about characteristics. His ability to use what he has to process information is just absolutely remarkable.
That's amazing. And going off of that, actually, Tim, I want to pose this next question to you that came from one of our viewers. And it kind of goes off of what Coach Mike was talking about in terms of that player, Kevin, just knowing where his teammates are. But our question is, how do the players on the ice know where their teammates are? What does that communication look like?
Well, one for the B3 players, that means your vision spans anywhere from 2200 to 2800, I believe. I think a B2 is 2800 and below. So for the majority of our B3 players, you're able to have a little better understanding. Jerseys are all in contrast. One team wears a dark jersey, one team wears a yellow jersey. My initial question was, why yellow? Why not white? Obviously, white blends in with white ice. So yellow is a light jersey, dark as a contrast for the opposing team. So that's a big factor in it. But also like I said, that shared communication. I don't think it's any secret. The U.S. blind team uses blue as an indication that we have the puck. Once we gain possession of the puck, we yell blue, whoever picks up the puck. It's then the teammate's responsibility to echo that. And once that echo hits the bench, we know we're communicating well. When the bench is able to pick up what people are saying on the ice. As soon as you lose possession of the puck, it's crucial for the person that lost it to be the first person to yell out red. Red means you no longer have possession of the puck and you need to get on defense. Again, whoever's closest to it can echo that and then spread it throughout the team. Hopefully it makes it all the way back to the goalie so they understand the puck is now coming into our zone even before that pass whistle has gone off. Beyond that, it really is just the communication. It's amazing how quickly visually impaired athletes can pick up voices and understand who's on the ice with them at the same time. One benefit to blind hockey is that there's no checking, which means you don't necessarily need to wear a mouth guard, which makes communication a little bit easier. And your teammates can pick up your voice a little bit quicker and a little easier as well.
So that actually leads into our second question. And any three of you could feel free to answer this one, but how does blind hockey compare to able-bodied or NHL hockey in terms of aggression and contact?
Tim, why don't you talk about from the player perspective?
I would say there is a noticeable decrease of body contact. However, it is far from eliminated.
Right.
I mean, you put 10 visually impaired athletes on the ice, contact's going to happen. And there's a pretty good chance at least one of you doesn't know that it's coming. So, you know, the referees actually do a great job of letting everybody know when contact might take place, especially the incidental contact that you're really not looking for. They do an outstanding job of protecting the goalies, but the aggression is absolutely there. I would say I've gotten in just as aggressive scrums in the corner for the puck in blind hockey as I do in sighted hockey.
Awesome. Love to hear it. So another question kind of on the rules of the game specifically is you talked about when you are in possession of the puck, you say something. When you've lost possession, you say another thing. Are there any rules prohibiting players of the other team kind of psyching out or saying false information to confuse the other team?
Well, they're not supposed to.
You can take it, Coach.
Well, that's okay, but they're not supposed to. I mean, there are rules. You know, there's a rule about tapping your stick. Tapping the stick on the ice is another form of communication. So players in one area of the zone are allowed to tap their stick so their teammates can pass to them, but the other players cannot. And if the other player does that, that would result into a penalty. But, you know, it's competitive, you know, especially at the U.S. blind team versus Canada versus anyone at that level. You're going to push it to the limit, and you're trying to get the competitive advantage and go everywhere you can. But it's amazing that our players are able to process the individual voices of their players. We spend so much time together that I know Tim Kane's voice. And when Tim is talking, whether he uses a color code or something else, I know it's Tim. And they can process it so much faster than I can. Since I have vision, I rely more on my vision. They rely more on their hearing. And it seems like the mistakes are not there.
Gotcha. Makes sense. The last question from the public I have at the moment is how many goals are typically scored in a game? And then in terms of game structure, is it the same length and period numbers as NHL hockey?
Tim, you want me to take it or you want to take it?
I can take it. Typically, we would like to see our international scores down a little bit. They've been a little on the high side, but typically you would see similar to NHL games. You know, you can see the 3-2 games. Sometimes you see the 1 or 2-0 games, but for the most part, you probably see, you know, 7 to 8 goals in a game, typically when you combine the two scores. Game structure is pretty similar. 3 12-minute periods. I think we're at 12-minute periods.
We've been doing 15 in international.
15, yeah. So the goal is to get to those 3 20-minute periods by the time we get to that Paralympic level, so that there's no real difference as far as game structure goes. And I guess the biggest difference in structure besides the time is that teams do not switch ends. So typically in an NHL game, you would have one period where you defend the opposite side of the ice as opposed to where your bench is. Whereas in blind hockey, we don't change. You stay on the same side of the ice the entire time as your defensive zone.
So Doris, I want to pose one question specifically to you, and then I'm going to pose an overarching question to all three of you. But Doris, my question is, if you had to give an elevator pitch on what the benefits of blind hockey would be for athletes who know nothing about the sport of hockey, what would you tell them or tell their parents?
Well, first I would tell them to just come try it, because there's the perception that it's a really aggressive game. But the moment you put the skates on and the moment that your skate is gliding across the ice and you put the stick to the ice, you fall in love with the game. So I would just say, you've got to come try it. Hockey is for everyone, and male, female, blind and visually impaired, sled hockey, special hockey. It is for everyone, but blind hockey has just, it's growing so rapidly. And I hope people don't miss out on the opportunity to try it.
That's good.
Great answer. Yeah. So my last question for all three of you that I know you've had some time to think about, ponder over the last day since I posed it to you, but what are your national and international goals for blind hockey?
Who do you want to start?
Doris, do you want to kick us off?
I'll go first. Well, nationally, like I said, I would love to see a hockey program, a blind hockey program in every state. I would love to see 2 or 3 so that they're playing competitively, regionally and locally. And then I would love to see try hockey events several times a month across the US. And I would like to grow the game not only for the youth, but for the adults as well. Internationally, I can't wait for us to be in the Paralympic Games. That is our ultimate goal, or at least the next goal we have internationally.
Perfect. Coach, do you want to follow that up?
Sure. Me as a coach, which also includes my responsibilities as an administrator for USA Hockey Central District and also the local programs here in Chicago, there's 4, key areas of focus that I'm looking at. First is kind of like what Doris talked about, grow the program. And I want to grow it in all divisions of red, white, and blue. We've had some great success in blind hockey with our Try Hockey events around the country. And with the help of USA Hockey, they sponsor 2 big events every year. And we've just jumped on their backs. And because of that, we've been able to bring in new players through that level of publicity. But to really grow, I think we have an opportunity to take what we've learned, and we have had great success with the programs that are connected with the NHL teams. Chicago, St. Louis, Minnesota, Colorado, Pittsburgh, Anaheim. We've got some things going on in Dallas. Doris just mentioned Buffalo. We need to connect with all the NHL teams in the United States and also continue to push out the blind hockey programs in areas outside the big cities. The second goal for me is to improve the game for the lower vision players, coming up with a continuous sounding puck. With the right hockey puck, I really believe our lower vision players will be able to enjoy the game and will be able to play both offensive positions and defensive positions. A third goal is to increase the education for our coaches about visual impairments. The more we know as a coach, and the more we learn about the disability, the better I think we will be as coaches. Doris and the USA Hockey program, they've been doing a great job this year by building some new coaching clinics that's specializing in teaching our coaches about visual impairments in the game of blind hockey. Coaching blind hockey is much different than coaching an able-bodied player. The power of verbal communication, understanding vision limitations that each player has. Our coaches in blind hockey have to be more creative, generate more verbal communication. From the international point, for the U.S. blind hockey team, we will continue to develop and build the best team to represent our country. Our goal, as Doris said right now, is to get blind hockey into the 2026 Paralympics. And if we're successful, our goal is going to change. And it's simple for me. It's to win the gold medal for the United States.
Perfect. Tim, you want to bring us home?
Yeah, I would love to just say that my goals are the exact same as Coach and Doris's, and I could probably say that with quite a bit of confidence. From a national perspective, absolutely grow this game as big as we can get it. Get as many visually impaired athletes on the ice as you can. It doesn't matter if you have a hockey background or not. Coach talked about Kevin Brown earlier. Kevin Brown never played a game of hockey in his life before he heard about a tri-blind hockey event in 2016. Now as a B1, not only is he one of our best defensemen, he's also one of our assistant captains. He's an outstanding talent. And before that, he had a track and field background. We have Jeff Martin out of Colorado, who, as far as I know, didn't play a game of ice hockey until he started playing blind hockey. He had a roller hockey background, but You don't have to have a hockey background or a ton of knowledge in the game to be able to advance to the U.S. blind team level. So nationally, get as much exposure on the game as we can, being a part of events like this and continuing to spread the word about the sport. I'm with Doris. Let's get 50 teams. We get 50 teams, we can go to the Disabled Hockey Festival and the Blind Hockey Classic, and we can have big tournaments just like you see in sled and special hockey. So let's get to that point. Internationally, I'd love to see a couple more international programs. As Coach mentioned, right now we have 6. I think we need at least 8 to be considered for a Paralympic sport. So if we can get a couple more there, maybe if we can get 2 more national level teams, we can do a 4 Nations Cup here in the next couple of years and really get a couple more countries involved at that level. And then let's just continue to grow it as big as any other Paralympic sport.
Perfect. It's great to see that you guys are all on the same page with the same vision, same goals. Amazing. Well, again, thank you guys so much for taking the time to share the amazing sport of blind hockey with us. Again, I know I've enjoyed it and learned so much, and I'm sure everyone listening and watching has done the same. So thank you guys again.
Thanks, Kat.
Thanks,
Thank
Kat.
And
Hey.
to all of our listeners, I just wanted to let you know we have one more bonus session this evening, so stick around because you absolutely will not want to miss this. And I may be a little biased because I am the one presenting tonight. So please stick around at 5 p.m. Mountain Time and 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be diving into the programs and events that USABA provides and supports across the country. So while you're waiting for me to come back, though, why don't you all get on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media you can find, tag USABA and let us know how you've been participating during National Blind Sports Week, what your favorite session has been so far, or how you plan on spending this Saturday, October 3rd, National Blind Sports Day. Don't forget to use the hashtag Blind Sports Week, and I will see you all in about an hour and 6 minutes. Thanks again, everyone.
Thanks, Kat.
Okay.